Internal documents obtained by the Wall Street Journal showed that Exxon Mobil had been deceiving the public about fossil fuels, which is something that Harvard scientist Naomi Oreskes has known for decades. Her team reviewed hundreds of internal company documents that revealed Exxon scientists had predicted climate change with a shocking level of accuracy as far back as the 1970s.
And what we found was that approximately 80% of the private documents acknowledged in private that climate change was almost certainly going to happen, that it would do serious damage. We even find the word catastrophe used.
But in public, Exxon had a different message.
Proponents of the global warming theory say that higher levels of greenhouse gases, especially CO2, are causing world temperatures to rise and that burning fossil fuels is the reason. But scientific evidence remains inconclusive.
No, I'm afraid that the World Meteorological Organization is again just hyping the global warming issue.
Peter Kalmus is a NASA climate scientist. He's speaking on his own behalf here.
They've known that they were tanking the habitability of Earth irreversibly. They've known that since the 70s at least, and they've still made the choice at every opportunity to do that for their own profit. So I think those guys should be definitely in jail. We should be suing them.
Developing news tonight, California is now suing Big Oil, accusing the industry overall of knowing about the dangers of burning fossil fuels for decades while deceiving the public.
This last summer, we actually experienced what 1.5 degrees Celsius is maybe like. And it was awful. And it wasn't regional. It was across the board. You know, mega droughts, these weird atmospheric rivers appearing, followed by unprecedented hurricanes in California.
Environmental law is one of Dr. Hornstein's specialties.
Some of the increase in all of the above is attributable to these emissions.
The lawsuits are far from a slam dunk, says Hornstein, but are becoming increasingly credible. Mark Morano, on the other hand, who worked for the Bush administration, is highly skeptical.
Well, first of all, it's to demonize Exxon and oil. And second of all, it's a shakedown of money because you have lawsuits like in California and many other lawsuits, not specifically against Exxon, but against energy companies that basically say every time a bad weather event happens, the energy companies are responsible because they release CO2, which caused bad weather.
Exxon responded to our request for comment with the following statement. Debating the past may generate interesting headlines, but as we've said time and time again, climate change is real, and we have an entire business dedicated to reducing emissions, both our own and others. They went on to say that you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone doing as much as we are to develop and deploy lower carbon solutions that have a real sustainable impact. Max Claypool, Storm Team 9. Do you believe in sprites, elves? How about ghosts? I'm not talking about mythical creatures. These are actually the names of rare types of lightning. There are 8.6 million lightning strikes every day worldwide. But there's an elusive lightning phenomenon called a sprite, and it wasn't photographed for the first time until 1989.
And they're like a lightning bolt, but much dimmer and much more broad and diffuse. And they transfer charge vertically.
Look at this storm right here. Did you catch it? There it is. That red light is the elusive sprite. Common ones include the jellyfish and blue jet.
And what they are electrical discharges that propagate vertically above a thunderstorm straight up to the ionosphere.
And like many things in science, they were predicted long before they were observed.
And that was theorized to happen back, 100 some years ago.
They're hard to spot, but your best chance at seeing one is over the top of a distant thunderstorm at night. From Greenville, Max Claypool, Storm Team 9. As climate change makes weather more erratic, homeowners are facing a new problem. Insurance companies are fleeing disaster-prone areas, and in North Carolina, insurance rates could nearly double.
Because of climate change-driven weather-related catastrophes, insurers are responding in two ways. One, they're raising rates, and two, they're declining to renew or write new insurance. And in some cases, like in Florida, pulling out of the state entirely.
The other part of the problem is that more people are moving to these disaster-prone places.
What we're seeing in the effects of sort of supercharging the atmosphere, that's one half of the puzzle. The other half is how we build and where we build. So over time, of course, our population has grown. We've expanded into areas that we may not necessarily want to be in.
Florence began to bring its full force to North Carolina overnight, lashing the coast with stinging rain.
Coastal North Carolina is one of the most vulnerable places in the country, and that's what's causing the insurance rates to soar.
If you're fortunate enough in Eastern Carolina to, have the dream to retire or own a home down here, the dream is rapidly fading.
Not only is it making it more difficult for those who can afford, it's making it impossible for those who can't afford to live in coastal areas.
Sam is on what's known as the Beach Plan. It's a government insurance program that steps in where private companies won't. This is a last resort for many homeowners, as insurance companies may hike rates by up to 99% statewide. 2023 was a wild year for weather in Eastern North Carolina. We're going to take a look back at this year's most memorable events. March 2023 was dry with up and down temperatures. This led to trouble, an out-of-control blaze in the Croatan National Forest.
We had some strong winds that rapidly spread that fire in the first day or two.
It burned for more than a month, consuming 32,000 acres.
I remember myself landing in New Bern after going on a work trip, just complete smoke everywhere. I couldn't see anything outside the window of the airline.
What color was the sky? Could you see the...
Oh, it was just orange, just completely orange.
Then came severe weather season.
Watch the trees. Watch the trees. Big tree down. Big tree down. Big hail hitting my car.
In July came a storm that shocked everyone. An EF3 wedge tornado did big-time damage in Rocky Mount and Dorchester. It leveled a Pfizer plant, throwing tractor trailers hundreds of yards.
Obviously, a lot to talk about with the final approach of System Ophelia working its way.
Ophelia was by far the most impactful tropical storm this year. It dumped buckets of rain, bringing heavy storm surge and flash flooding. And the most powerful system that hit our area this year was arguably the nor'easter in December.
Governor Roy Cooper is declaring a state of emergency in Sampson and Duplin counties in response to this flooding.
It had a greater impact than even Ophelia.
I would say for our local area that the nor'easter had more of an impact.
From Greenville, Max Claypool, Storm Team 9.